Hi friends, welcome to Tax Tamil. Today we are going to discuss about ASA. In that ASA we are going to discuss about modes of firewalls. What is the modes of firewalls? We have two modes in ASA. One is routed mode, another one is transparent mode. The firewall functionality of the router mode and transparent mode it remains same, but functionality in sense, okay, the inspection, traffic controlling, all those things it work as it is same in transparent mode and routed mode. The only difference is the routed mode have a L3 functionality, whereas in transparent mode it will act as a switch. It will act as a switch. Okay, for example, you have already existing environment. Okay, layer 3 switch is there, all those is there, but you don't have any firewall in place. You don't want to disturb any security, like your layer 3 functionality, like so routing. Okay, you don't need to change any routing. Okay, whereas you can fit this transparent firewall. Okay, the transparent firewall, it will do all the firewall functionality, but it will not have capable of layer 3 functionality, the routing functionality. The routed firewall mode have both the routing functionality as well as firewall functionality. If you take in ASA, it supports two modes of firewalls. One is routed routing, another one is transparent. Routed mode is a L3, okay, and then transparent mode is L2. By default, all the ASA enabled with routing mode. Okay, if you want to customize to the transparent mode, then you have to get enabled. All those how to get enabled we will see in detail in the lab. The modes of firewalls. One is routed mode, another one is transparent mode. Let us take as an example. In routed mode, it will have all features of firewall and routing. In transparent mode, it will have all features of firewall but no routing. The routing will be needs to take help from other devices. It will do the all the firewall functionality, the traffic inspection, all those things will be carried out, but it will not do any routing. That switch firewall will act as a switch. It will do the switching functionality along with firewall functionality. The where this transparent mode suits, for example, already you have an environment where you no need to disturb anything. Only you need to do the firewall inspection. In that scenario, you can use this concept transparent mode. Let us discuss about modes of security context. Modes of security context. There are two types security context is there in ASA. One is single context, another is multiple context. single context and multi context. What is mean context? Context means firewall. Okay, if you want act is a single firewall, I have procured a hardware. I want to use it as a single standalone firewall. Then it will be a single context. The same firewall, if I want to share with multiple my internal LOBs or multiple slicing I want to do, so I can make it as a multi-context firewall. The modes of security context is a two. One is a single context, it means single firewall. Multi-context is a multiple firewall. I mean, the multi-context is a virtual firewall. In one physical firewall, we can create a multiple logical firewalls, which is called as a multi-context. If the same you take as a multi-context, single context in some other OEM like a 48, the 40 gate, the VDOMs will call. The multi-context as a VDOMs will call. If you take in the checkpoint, we'll call as a VSX. Similarly, in ASA, is a single context and multi-context. The single means it's a single firewall in a hardware it is running. The multi-context is multiple virtual firewalls are running in a single hardware. In ASA, if typically you take, there are two types of the ASA, like hardware-based ASA and then software-based ASA. The hardware-based ASA in the sense, okay, where we have the physical hardware box, on top of that, the iOS is loaded, all those things will be running on it. The virtual in the sense, okay, on top of the VM or any virtual solution or cloud solution, we will be running the ASA software, that is a virtual ASA. The multi-context will not support in virtual ASA. To take a ASA, there are two types: hardware based and virtual ASA. By default, all ASA supports routing as well as transparent mode. It will support both ASA, all ASA, which means hardware ASA and ASA V supports routing and transparent mode. In security context, with respect to the security context, the multi context will support only on hardware based ASA. Multi-context multi-context will not support in virtual ASA. It will not support in virtual ASA. Now, let us see in the lab how modes of firewalls is enabled, get enabled, and then modes of security context, how it get enabled in hardware ASA. Okay, and then we will see in detail ASA virtual as well. Discuss in detail in the lab. Let me open ASA. I have image for both virtual ASA as well as hardware ASA.
You may have the doubt, okay, this EVNG itself a virtual, right? Okay. On top of the EVNG, okay, I am running the hardware based ASA as well as ASA virtual. Let me turn on both the ASA, virtual ASA as well as hardware ASA. Let me turn on. Let us see the behavior of ASA. Let me open the putty. Guys, don't get confused. Whatever we are opening directly from the EVNG by clicking the device, which is the console access. Okay, don't assume by default all putty connection, whatever we are opening it, it is either telnet or SSH. Don't confuse with that. Okay, it is not SSH session or telnet session. It is direct console session, which I am opening from the directly from the device. If you want to enable SSH or telnet, that remote access we need to get enabled. That we will see in later stage of our lab. Let this device boots and come up. Now, once the device comes up, we will see how to check firewall modes and then how to configure firewall context. The context is a two, single context and multi-context. The single context will support in hardware-based ASA as well as virtual-based ASA. The multi-context also will support in hardware-based ASA but not in virtual-based ASA. Once this device comes up, we will see in detail. Now, let us open the putty. Now, firewall came up, enable. In router, it will not ask you the enable password when it is a fresh, when it's a brand new. But in AC, it will ask, but no password. Without password, you can hit enter. Now, show version. If I give this, we can see the firewall version, okay, and then device manager version. And then along with that, we could able to see the security context. The security context in this, we have 20, which is enabled, and then which is up to 364 days license. It's a 1 year license. If you want to get enabled more days or more security context, we need to check the firewall capacity as well as we need to take a additional license. Now, show mode. To give this command, it will show the firewall is in which mode. Is a single mode or multi-context mode, it will show. Here, by default, ASA will be in single context and then routed mode. Show firewall. To give this command, it will show the firewall is in which mode. This is a context mode. For that, we have to give the which security context mode is there. To show get that show mode you have to give. Okay, the firewall mode, if you want to see, it is a router. If you want to change this firewall mode from router to transparent, we have to hit the command firewall transparent. Firewall config T firewall transparent. If we give this, okay, it will get enabled firewall transparent mode. For giving this command, we need a reboot. So currently we are not going to do that. Show mode, then this will show as a the firewall will comes under which security context, the single context. If you want to change this context, again config T mode, it will show multiple or single. If you give multiple, for this we required a reboot. If you want to change single context to multi-context or multi-context to single context, we need a reboot. But if you want to change the firewall mode as a transparent, which is not required any reboot. The firewall changing the firewall mode doesn't require any reboot, but changing the security context mode requires reboot. Show firewall. Now, after executing the firewall transparent command in the config mode, the firewall changed to the transparent mode. Firewall has changed into the transparent mode. Now, if you want to roll back to the routing mode, the command is the firewall transparent. You have to give no firewall transparent. After that, we give show firewall, it will get changed to the router mode. The command is here firewall transparent. If you want to get enabled transparent mode, if you want to move back to the router mode, no firewall transparent. Now let us see security context. We'll change it from single context to multi context. Mode multiple. Enter. Now if I hit enter, it will go for reboot. Let us see after rebooting how it is showing. We'll wait for a few minutes. Yeah, it's getting booted. We could able to see complete booting process since we have logged into the console terminal. Okay, if you're logging through the SSH terminal, you cannot see this process since SSH will get established once the device is up. This kind of outputs, what is happening while device is getting booted, those outputs only you can see in console terminal. It will take few minutes to come up. Yes, hardware is coming up. We are almost near. The process is going to complete now, the booting process. Now it's processing the self-test. Context is created, multi-context. That's why you could be able to see here the creating admin context and all. In upcoming classes, we will see how to create a context, all those things. Now only I'll show you, okay, it is in which mode. It is a single mode or multi-context mode. I'll brief it out. Now, show mode. See here, it is a multiple. Show mode, it's a multiple. Show firewall, it's router. By default, it's admin context. Admin context in router mode. If you're creating the multiple context, okay, in that multiple context, you can make one context as a route mode, one context as a transparent mode. Like that, you can get customized. Now, let us move to the console of virtual ASA. This is a virtual ASA. Here we can see the little bit difference. Show firewall. Again, here it will have router mode and transparent mode. But if you give the show mode, that command itself it will not take. Why? Because by default the virtual ASA have the single security context mode. It will not support multiple security contexts. So the show mode itself it will not get shown. We cannot configure mode. We cannot configure anything that is unrecognized. Since this is a ASA virtual OS is running here, this is a virtual ASA, therefore it will not get displayed any modes. Since it supports only single context, by default ASA virtual is in single context only. It will not have support for multi-security context. So now let us see how we will see the IP in ASA. Show interface IP brief. If you see in the normal Cisco router, we'll give show IP int brief. That command will not work out here. You should use the command show interface IP brief. This command will work out here. For example, you want to configure ASA interface GI 0/0. For each and every interface, you have to give a name of the interface. Let me give the name if inside. If I give inside, it will take by default 100. The security level it will take a by default 100. Let me give 0.1 as a outside. By default, it will take as a 0. By default, it will take as a 0. There are only two security levels is will get enabled in all the interfaces. By default value is either 100 or 0. For inside, it will get 100. For outside or any different name, it will get enabled 0. For example, if you want to change the security level, for by default inside, why it has taken 100? The inside means it's a very high trusted source. So it will assign a default value as 100. By natural of firewall, the security level from higher level to lower level, the traffic is allowed. By default behavior of ASA, from higher level to lower level, the traffic will get allowed. For inside zone, we'll consider as a trusted zone. So it will assign as a higher security level, which is 100. If you want to change the security level, you can get customized between a range of 1 to 99. That is a customized security level. You can get it changed. You can assign this as a also 100. Okay, now if you want to see this, show name, if it will show what is the name of the interface and then what is the security level, all those information we can see here. Let me assign the IP address into the interface. IP address 10.10.10.11 255.255.255.0 show run interface gi 0 slash 0. Okay, now we could able to see this IP got assigned. Show IP, show interface IP brief. This will show us what is IP assigned to this. Now let me configure another interface gi 0 slash 1 IP address 192.168.100.1. I have entered without subnet mask. Okay. By default, ASA supports assigns for IP address the classful subnet mask. Let me show you show run int gi 0 slash 1. What is the classful subnet mask? The IP belongs to which class? Default subnet mask of that class will get assigned. That is a classful. The IP belongs subnet, which is the default subnet mask for that IP class. That is a classful. If we are did a supernetting or subnetting, then if it is any changes, say for here for interface GI 0 slash 0, we have did a subnetting. Okay, it is a classless address. For example, here in this case, for class A IP address, I am using a class C subnet mask. This based on subnetting which I have done, I am using this subnet mask. This is a classless. ASA supports both classless, classful, and classless. Okay, if you are not assigning the subnet mask in the interface, by default it will take a default subnet mask of that particular class. It will enable the classful subnet mask in that particular interface. Today we have covered firewall mode and then security context mode and then how to create assign a security level into the interface, how to create a IP into the interface, all those things we have discussed. Let us catch in next class with the new topic.